Good evening, sir. My name is Praful Bele and I'm from collegedunia.com. Very warm welcome to you on our interview series, which is called Thoughts on Education, where we interview various dignitaries such as the owners, directors, and faculties of various universities and colleges. Before starting the interview, I would request you to kindly give a brief introduction of yourself and then we'll proceed ahead with the interview. Sir.
Sure. Thank you, Praful. My name is Ajit Parulekar. I'm the director of the Goa Institute of Management. The Goa Institute of Management is a leading business school in the country, ranked quite highly in the NIRF. We have students who come from over 20 states, I think 24 or 25 states in the country. We have faculty that come not only from all over the country, from the top IIMs and IITs with PhDs from there, but also faculty who come from all over the world. My areas of professional expertise are brand management and financing and payment systems for healthcare.
So, sir, that was great to hear from your end about your experience and your expertise. So, let's go to the first question of this interview series, and that is you have held key positions at different educational institutes throughout your professional career. So, what keeps you connected with the education sector, and how has your experience been so far with Goa Institute of Management?
So I used to work in the industry. I used to work in the pharmaceutical industry after doing an MBA. I was a brand manager. Whilst I thoroughly enjoyed doing what I was doing, managing brands, I felt at that point in time, a lot of people came and told me that in training programs, I was very good in terms of, doing classes and training and stuff like that. And that's why I got into academics. It's over 20 years since. For the last 23 years, I've been working with the Goa Institute of Management. I've had the opportunity to teach at many leading business schools in India. I've also taught at business school in Antwerp, in Belgium. Every year I teach now at Lisbon in Portugal. I've taught at Southampton in the UK and at Kansas in the US. I love going into a classroom. And I think amongst all the professions, one of the professions that I think has a unique kind of a unique place is when you teach. Academia gives you two opportunities. One opportunity is to influence young minds and therefore earn more goodwill than any other occupation can. Second is through research. You can shape the future of industry and society. So I'm absolutely enjoying, being an academic.
So, sir, that's great. So the second question would be, being the director of Goa Institute of Management, what is your philosophy of leadership? How would you describe your leadership style?
That's a difficult question to answer. It's easier to describe other people's leadership styles. One of the things in my leadership style, I like to lead from the front. And what I mean is, I don't like to profess things that I cannot practice myself. So I'm a very strong votary of values, of sustainability, and of discipline. And I make sure I follow all these three things in my life. I think the other thing that's very important to me is the sense of meritocracy, equity, as well as justice. I think it's extremely important to make sure that you run academic institutions where people who are talented, who are on merit, they get opportunities. Second is, when I mean in terms of equity, take into account the fact that when people come from different backgrounds, the opportunity that they have is not equal. And if the opportunity is not equal, you need to equalize some of the opportunities that are available to people who come from lesser privilege. Like if there's someone who comes from a lower socioeconomic background, if somebody comes, someone has disabilities, then that's something you need to look at. And third is sense of fairness and justice. I think these are the things that are important to me as a leader, and make sure that percolates in the organizations that I work in.
Sir, the education systems in India and the foreign countries are structured very differently. In your experience, what can an inbound student gain from studying here at Goa Institute of Management?
So the Indian education system, is very demanding. Business school in India is extremely competitive. So what any foreign student would see is the peer group that you get to learn with in India is simply outstanding. The best students in the world that I've seen, not just in India, is when I've taught at business school worldwide. amongst the best students that you see are Indian students. So when an international student comes into a classroom at GIM, you are in the midst of some of the most talented people that you'll ever come across in your life. And as you know, in business school, a lot of learning is peer learning, conversation. I mean, when you do the case method in class, or you're doing role plays, or you're doing, engaging kind of lectures, or you have projects that are field-based projects, or you're doing simulation games, there's at least half of the learning comes from your fellow peers. And when you have such a talented group of fellow peers, you'll find there's phenomenal learning that happens. There's no surprise, therefore, that today you see, leading corporations in the world, irrespective of the sector. It used to be technology in the past, but today, whether it's technology, whether it's automobile, whether it is, banking, financial services, academia, anywhere you see, people who've studied in India, who've done their higher education in India, are people who've gone on to lead some of the top institutions in the world. And that's, I think, what you'll find, the kind of peer group, the kind of faculty group that you'll find at GIM.
Sir, how does the curriculum of Goa Institute of Management ensure the best practice in the industry?
So the Goa Institute of Management, around a decade back, realized that management is getting more specialized. And therefore, what we decided was to build expertise in a couple of domains that we thought were domains that require specialized management. We started with a healthcare management program. Later on, we did a big data analytics program and a new age banking, insurance, financial services program. And with these three, we built capacities by having faculty who are very well versed in this. And therefore, because of this, there's a cross-pollination of these skill sets across our program. So today, students who pass out from the Goa Institute of Management, they are at the leading edge of technology. So one of the elements that's part of our mission statement is students will be at the forefront of cutting edge business practices and technology. And because we run these specialized verticals, you will find that GIM students are very well versed with things like, data analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, IoT, digital, variety of different kinds of technologies that today are at the forefront of management. Our students are very good at it. The second thing is we have a global reputation in terms of sustainability. The Goa Institute of Management early enough set up a Center for Social Sensitivity and Action. More recently, around 5 years back, we set up a Center for Excellence in Sustainable Development. Both these centers, plus the cutting edge programs we run, a program called Give Goa is one of them that we run, and with it an associated course on social responsibility, to make sure that GIM is in the top 4 institutes in the positive impact rating. We're globally in the top 4 institutes in the world. We at the Green Gown Awards last year, we got a commendation for being amongst the top schools in terms of sustainable campuses, sustainable campuses in the world. I sit on the global board of the Principles for Responsible Management Education. I also sit on the India Governing Council of the UN Global Compact, and several of our faculty do cutting-edge research in the area of sustainability. I mean, sustainability is 3-pronged: economic sustainability, environmental sustainability, and social sustainability. So students who come to GIM, you'll find on technology, on latest technology, and on sustainability, we're the best in the country.
Sir, what do you think should be your institute's top priority over the next 10 years?
So the top priority of the institute would be, in spirit of the new education policy, to do a couple of things. One of it is help in the nation increasing the gross enrollment ratio from the current 26% to around 50%, which means we'll have to grow in terms of size. We are already growing reasonably fast, but we'll have to do that much faster. One of the challenges there is scaling up like that is not very easy. It's not very easy because you need high quality faculty to be able to do that. And therefore we are recruiting large numbers of faculty. The second thing you need to do is also to manage the cost point. So you can't do it only by having the same campus-based education. That's important and has a very, very important place in society and in education, but also run programs that become more affordable and accessible to larger numbers, and therefore have programs where you can blend in, online or virtual with physical and have pure online too, so that the price points at which you can offer make it affordable and accessible to a lot of other people. So this is one on in terms of education. The second is bring in more multidisciplinarity. So have our students not only look at business management, but also understand science and technology, so STEM, as well as the most important part also for society, that is humanities, art, culture, music, and things like that. So that's the second thing that we think is important. And third is have more India-centric research. There are a lot of unique Indian models. Bring those Indian models to rest of the globe, and therefore our research, we're doing phenomenal work in terms of our research output. We need to further strengthen that over the next 10 years.
Sir, what are some of the plans you are currently or will be designing for Goa Institute of Management into international affairs and for Indian students?
Yeah, so what has happened today is, the world is becoming more and more globalized, especially, from the point of view of a country like India, which is low to middle income country. 20 years back, students in business school very rarely had opportunities to get kind of global exposure. Today, I find that, at any given point in time, around 15% of our alumni, are resident overseas. And there would be maybe 40-50% of our alumni, maybe more than that, around 70% of our alumni would be working in global teams. And therefore, unless until they get sizable amount of international exposure, they may not be completely prepared for this. So in addition to having normal things like, international exchange, we are moving towards having all our students having international exposure through consulting projects, through, visits that will be a couple of weeks, working with partner institutions, going there, not, more than listening to class, going there and working with companies over there and working with their fellow counterpart students in those institutions. So they truly get an immersive global exposure, and we want to give that to all our students. The third part of internationalization is both faculty as well as, curriculum. In terms of faculty, this year we've recruited 3 faculty who are international. One is from the US, one is from the UK, one is from Canada. We do see our faculty character also from being, diverse Indian to being diverse international is something that, we'd like to see happening in the future. And lastly, bring in more international students on our full-time programs.
Sir, any suggestions you would like to give to the current youth and the aspiring students?
So I think the current youth, I'm looking at specifically youth in India. I think you're born in you're really lucky to be born in an unprecedented time for the country. The country is seeing more prosperity, and not just prosperity, believe me, happiness than it ever has in the past. There's a lot more opportunity available in the country. And therefore, what we need the youth to be able to contribute in nation building, while at the same time making sure that you're doing things that you like to do, building your own careers, and making sure that your families, friends, and all, there's prosperity in them. So when you're going to an education program, don't go there only to get skill sets that will help you to become employable. That's important, but help you to get skill sets by which you're able to, contribute not just to your own careers, but contribute overall to society, which will benefit you and your families too. And lastly, also use the education experience to discover what your passion in life will be. Because if you discover that early in life, you'll have a lot more fruitful life, a lot more successful, and a lot more contribution and satisfaction.
Sir, it has been a pleasure talking and interacting with you today and listen to your views on the interview series that was Thoughts on Education. So I, on behalf of the College Dunia team, thank you so much for being a part, and we wish you all the very best for your future endeavors. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Praful. Thank you. Have a nice day.